Hey, welcome to the Digital Poker Felt. Long time no talk to you. I'm Fingers. Again, if this is your first time visiting the channel, make sure to subscribe. Again, Digital Poker Felt. If you're already part of the tribe, you've already subscribed, make sure to get your engagement on. Get in there, make your comments below the videos, comments on things I've done that you believe I did wrong, possibly hands that you've played around, whether online or in live play wherever you live. Get in there. Let's start the discussions, get in the debates. I mean, sometimes certain debates are, that it depends. But as long as you have the details in there, you should have a lot of people chiming in with their voice on what could possibly, be their opinion on what you should or should not have done and why. The main point of this channel, when I was first forming it, again, was to try and focus on a GTO pre-flop strategy. So again, I'm using some charts, trying to play GTO up front. I don't have a solver or a HUD or anything going like that, where, I am the one playing the hands. And even as far as GTO, if the chart says to raise or call or fold, I'm a human being. I still have the option. That's why I say I try, because there's many instances here where I may go against the solver, whether the player, depending upon the player I'm in the hand with, might be why I do or do not do what it instructs me to. The other avenue to it is, I may just not have the nerve to pull the trigger. Right now, Jack 5, I had middle pair from the big blind. Let's see if he fires again. Again, this is a super deep stack tournament. This is what they call the Crazy 8. He's betting pot here. Well, let's take one more off. Again, we got super deep stack. Again, these tournaments that I'm playing in are super deep, but super cheap. So, you got to be a little careful on the whole bluffing thing. Because, again, I could represent an ace, but I didn't raise from the big blind with his limp pre-flop. He could easily have the king and still call me there even with the ace, because he doesn't think I would have gotten there with the spades. So he did definitely play it a little more cautiously than I would expect from a normal $3 player. And if you've noticed in some of the past videos I've put out, I have tried to put some certain plays on that should somewhat work. But then in hindsight, reviewing these hands afterwards, it's like, I'm playing against a $3 guy or a $2 guy or a $5 guy. And people think in different levels in this game, especially if you're new to it or you're bad at it, you might only be playing, or they might only be playing their hand. They have no idea what you have. They're not even thinking about what you might have. All they see are the two cards in front of them. Right now, yeah, I've got the charts here. I'm not even looking at them because, again, how deep this is like 1,700 big blinds to start this tournament with. Let's just, once it gets down closer to 100 big blinds or 80 big blinds, then focusing on what the charts may say might do us a little better. But right now we have a lot of play going on. Again, they're checking over to the preflop raiser. I'm just going to represent like I have it, because definitely these type of cards are in my range. We get to an open-ended with a possible flush draw out there. If I bet it, I would hate getting raised. So let's Just peel and see if we can get the ace. Maybe he only has a jack. Let's look him up. No. Oh, if he had made 2 pair, we would have been very happy. Again, being this deep, maybe I played that a little too cautiously, but I gotta be me. Again, I'm Fingers. If you're unfamiliar with the series, the channel, the Digital Poker Felt, I reside in the Tampa Bay area, currently an unemployed radio guy, messing around with YouTube, and this is my passion. You know, playing around with poker. Hopefully you'll learn something by watching this. Hopefully I'll learn by becoming somewhat of an instructor, I guess. I've never thought of myself much as a teacher, but the times where you do instruct people, it does make you get back to the fundamentals, the foundations of things. The reasons on why you do and do not do certain things, whether it's in poker or anything. I'm just going to call here. And not... I mean, he could have ace-queen here. He could have pocket aces. But I'm not really afraid of that right now. I just... If he's on some kind of draw or bluff, I want him to keep doing it for right now. With 2 flush draws out there now, though. What did he bet? 3/4 pot on the flop? Let me continue that. And again, if you see us playing on this site, this is one of the 2 sites that I've been using. Went back to this one for the simple fact, the other site I was using, again, I'm not promoting either one. I don't advise that you should be playing on any unregulated site. But again, it's my money, my choice, what I do. But between the 2 sites, the other one I like for the simple fact that it shows you what the big blinds are of your stack. You can change that setting. The thing I like about this site, I'm just going to min raise and see what happens. If it goes super crazy, I don't know what I would do. Okay, this may be a rebuy time. Could he have done that with pocket aces or ace queen? Yes. What I was about to say though with this site, I like the anonymity of it. Yeah, he did have ace queen. Let's re-enter. But what I was saying, the anonymity of this site, you can't use the HUDs. And I thought I just re-registered. Re-enter. Alright. Alright, take me there. Yeah, so you can't use the HUDs or anything like that, but I do like this super Deepstack tournament. That it looks like they have this like every day at like 5:08 p.m. Eastern time. So my choice today was, I could have headed over to one of the local poker rooms, a game that would be coming up somewhere around 6:45 p.m. They have one that I'm very familiar with playing in. So it was a debate. Sit here at home with you with my computer, a little chit chat going on, discussion of the game while I play it, or go up there and actually have to drive, sit down at the table and wear a mask for hours. And I chose to spend my time with you. That's how important you are to me, and I apologize that I haven't been getting in touch with you more often. So, like I was saying, that last hand, I mean, it was definitely possibly he could have ace queen. I probably should have folded as deep as we were, but again, it's a cheap tournament. Maybe I shouldn't think of it that way, but getting back in, it's not like I'm that far behind any of the other people just getting in. I think they allow re-entries of this up to level 25. So that might, again, if we go deep in this tournament, this could be hours long. What I do for you and for everyone else that comes to enjoy the videos, I break these up into usually 1 hour segments. That way it's easier, on me, to put together the content to put up for you. It doesn't take hours to render and then get up online. But on the receiving end, the consumer end, it's also easier on you that you're not locked in for a 6-hour long video. You can take your time, pause it here and there, come back, maybe create a playlist out of this. So again, being an hour, I'm still looking at it as if it's bite size. If you notice also, the frame that I've created for these new, well, I experimented with that last, the other software, the other online, nah, not even, because it's suited. I'll just spend my time chatting with you instead of focusing on trying to outplay somebody with a 10 deuce. So between these two sites, they both have had issues and errors in some of my previous videos, and I've been trying to hone it. And I think I've gotten it down to where I've made it as simplistic as possible and actually enhanced the visual for you. Maybe even the audio. I have gotten in and been able to clean up the audio a little better than the first few videos that I've done. So hopefully you appreciate that. Make sure to click on like down below the video if you're enjoying it. And like I said, also if you want to become part of the Felt Tribe, you gotta subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Oh, forgot about this site. Is there a way where I can, or was it the other site where I can color code people? It's the other one that I can color code them. This one you'd have to go full notes. Oh, but getting back to the unregulated, yeah. It's not advisable. I don't ever expect to, the little pittance of money I've put into the site, I don't expect to ever get back. If I do get it back, if I make some winnings and I'm able to take it out, then that's going to be gravy. Right now I'm just using the site as a tool, something to help me, help you, create the content, give us something to visually look at and use. Come on, it's suited. We've got over 1,700 big blinds. With or without charts, this has to be good. GTO to raise like that. A weak lead like that. Donk bets are terrible. Huh. Unless he has the 3-5. We got a backdoor flush draw. Let's bail on it now because he could definitely have the 3. Whether he had the 3-5 or not. He could have had 2 pair also, I guess. But calling from the big blind, any of those little cards were definitely in his range. If you think I'm being too nitty again, that's what the comment areas under the videos are for. If you're going to comment at something like that, tell you what, we got so many big blinds, let's just keep the pressure up. This little warning thing is annoying the hell out of me, though. Stressing me out. But I think I did a much better job on getting all of the cards in the screen much better. I know a few times, I don't remember if it was this software or the other software, it was like cutting off the very top. And while complaining about things, let me complain right now about my headphone mic. That I bought these, they're super comfortable. I don't even remember what the brand is. I'm not about to take them off to look at them. But the cord that feeds the computer, or feeds whatever you want to, if you had some kind of preamp or something like that, if you wanted to feed into it, the cord dangles off the same ear as the mic itself. So every time I turn my head, I'm sure you're hearing it, and I try and do my best in post-production to try and clean that up. But yeah, it's kind of annoying that every time I turn my head I can feel and hear the cord. And I think it would be less of an audio hindrance if they had put the cord on the other side, or the mic, put the mic over on the right ear, keep the cord on the left ear. Yeah, let's just go off the rails and start messing around more with these suited hands. It's suited, it can't be too bad. We're well over 80 big blinds. Just have to play a little more carefully post-flop. Earlier in this video had very similar with the Jack 5, very similar board. Let's see. Let's bet 325, keep it kind of small. Rainbow board like that. What could he have been calling with other than a king? Unless he's one of those guys that called with just like an ace queen or something. And now he got there on the river. I really don't see my 6 being good. Yeah. He actually had the king. And the deuce. Alright, they keep giving me suited hands at this point. I'm going to keep doing it. Let's just make it a little smaller. We'll save 10 units. Again, in previous videos, I've told you I don't really like playing the weak aces in early position. But right now, for the S's and the giggles, let's just get in there and mix it up. Suited hands. Drawing to a nut flush. And even here, I will call Well, even before he called, I was going to call because I have position on that guy. If it all comes out hearts, might be able to take his entire stack from him, depending on how bad he is. He or she. Don't mean to be sexist. Again, this is the generic he for, these are unnamed entities here on the internet. Well, unless he has the spades. That has to be a terrible bet. I mean, not that I have anything, but who's he going to get called by? Pot-sized bet there. Let's say he has two, well, he can't have two red aces. I had one of them. So, but he could have the ace of diamonds, ace of clubs. So let's say he has that, no spade in his hand. He's trying to protect his aces. Who's he getting called by or raised by? A guy possibly with even one ace of spades in his hand. Unless he has that ace of spade. What is this, aces versus kings or something? Oh. So that was actually even worse than the non-spade ace. Oh, it's on me. Well, let's see. We're still in the land of the suited. And nothing else will make the people donk off their stacks with pocket sevens by raising. Again, who's calling this unless they have you beat? The blinds, 35-70. You're an idiot. Yeah. But I could call you with aces there. I could call you with kings there. Queens, jacks, possibly. Let's put this as good. See if that saves. Yeah. Do you have to reopen it? Yeah, you gotta reopen it to read it. Oh, one of the other things I dislike about this site is the hand replayer. If I were to go up to it and replay it, even if you've been called down, if the person mucks their hand, you can't see what it was. Like that one hand earlier where the guy had the king deuce. I had the pair of sixes. This guy, since his hand was worse than ours, never showed up. So therefore, even if I went through the replayer, I would never be able to see it. So let's see. I guess with the deuce, my hand is strong enough to bet it but not call it. So if I were to check to that guy and he had a better ace, oh, I know a story I can share with you. What was it? The other night, nah, It's offsuit. The other night I've been having nothing but nightmares for weeks on end. I got on Chantix to try and kick all nicotine, whether it's cigarettes. I don't know if I'll go back to cigars or not. I mean, I still have some here, and I love my cigars, but during the whole COVID lockdown, I did pick up cigarettes again, so that bad habit returned. So whether you're... Again, I'm not getting paid to advertise Chantix. I'm not being paid to advertise any of these products. But whether you're on the Juul or cigarettes or dip or whatever, getting on Chantix, I've taken it in the past to kick dipping and smoking. So I knew it would work. But one of the side effects of Chantix is like very intense dreams, usually leaning towards nightmares. And I remember the first time I ever took Chantix, when I went back to the doctor, she was like, did it work? And I said, yeah. I said, within the first couple weeks even, I had quit, but I was still taking Chantix into the second month. And she's like, why are you doing that if you're having these nightmares? I said, well, I already paid the copay on the medication. So the second month and whatever didn't cost me anything. It's already good. So it's not costing me any extra. But at the same time, certain people would pay good money to go to an AMC or Cobb's or whatever movie theater, pay good money to see horror films. Whereas I'm getting them for free every night. Very intense. So again, I'm back on the Chantix. And, what was it? The other night, somehow, it wasn't really a nightmare per se, but I used to work on a podcast when I was in radio. I worked on a podcast with Natalie. The girl was my co-host. And the podcast we did was I've Got One For You, where we would just share stories about our messed up lives. It's almost like the Florida Man version of these are the dumb things that we do and have done from our past, sometimes very recent past. But we'd share these stories in the podcast. And since being laid off by the radio station after the whole COVID stuff, obviously we have not been creating new episodes. So in my dream, somehow I got back together with her to do an episode, and part of the episode was promoting the fact that, hey, we got the digital poker felt going. So I was thinking of you guys, even in my dreams. We were there promoting the digital poker felt on the I've Got One For You podcast. And then something else, again, this has nothing to do with the dream. I actually woke up today, and you know how Facebook always has the little messages of see memories? So looking at the memories of a year ago today was the first day that Natalie and I actually did the podcast where I was at home because lockdown had started. Everybody was, there was like a handful of people allowed in the building at the radio station. And I was not one of them. I was doing a lot of my work on laptop, VNC, VPN type stuff into the office. And I had quite a bit of control over the radio station. I could turn things on and off even because so much stuff is computerized nowadays. But I had a lot of access. But the whole point was that we were doing the podcast for the first time, not in the radio studio. And it just brought back memories. Oh, so I click on it, and just to see what we were talking about a year ago on the podcast. And for some reason, that episode is no longer available. So I don't know if after a certain period of time, we were doing the podcast for well over a year. I don't know if it's because I'm no longer at the station and they've started, it's aging out of the server. And if we were still doing it, maybe it'd still be alive, because I know the radio station's still making money with advertising that gets played during these podcasts. So they were still making money off of it, and we were actually getting pretty good hits or downloads or whatever you call them on the podcast. So I don't know why they would get rid of it if they're able to make money on it. So again, I suspect it might have to do more with the time overall, and maybe just things take up so much time on the server, so after a certain expiration date, maybe they start aging out. I wonder if, I was going to say, if I looked on the Apple iTunes stuff, I wonder if I could still find the episodes there. I mean, looking at it right now, I think I only see the last 3 that we did. And the last episode that we did was in November. So let me know again in the comments if you're able to get back to deeper episodes on that podcast. Let me know, because for some reason it's not working right for me. But yeah, the dream was basically a self-promotion chance to get back on a mic and talk all about the digital poker felt. So not your typical nightmare. Actually, not a nightmare at all. If anything, there was the only really, well, there were 2 really weird things about the dream other than that. One, I was in a neighbor's garage where we were doing the podcast across the street from a house I used to live in when I lived in Fishhawk. And his house wasn't even pointing in the right direction because I was able to look into the garage that I used to own. And somehow Natalie, again, I'm not big into sports. I don't really like sports. But for some reason, I might be butchering this guy's name. The world famous soccer player, is it Cristiano Ronaldo or something like that? Somehow in the dream, she was living with him part-time because they were both on a TV show. It was like some kind of reality show where he had to live with her for a couple days as a guest host or something. I don't know how. Again, she was not involved with TV at all, so I don't know how this came about. Again, this guy, do I have any notes on him yet? No. So, I apologize if I've gone off the deep end on sharing way too much. I don't really know what to put on him because I haven't really seen his cards other than he likes to call a lot. 700 to win 1600. Alright, let's see a flop. That totally nails his range. Abandoned ship. I wonder if there's a way to turn this thing off. If you notice, last time I played on this site, let's keep up the suited. Again, we'll bring down the size a little bit. Last time I played on this site, it had some graph mini bar type thing going down the side. So I finally got to a point where I found this little button up there. I was able to hide it. Alright, what's the delay? Oh, he's the one I labeled good. With all that's going on out there, I was going to say, even if it checked me, I'm not going crazy with this one. Maybe I should have bought into this tournament much later. Because right now, we're just so deep. This could just go on and on. Oh, the other thing with this site, again, being browser-based instead of a downloaded software, for some reason, maybe if I opened it with a different browser, maybe if I opened it with Chrome or something like that, but right now I'm running Safari. And my Safari browser often has this web page is using significant energy. Closing it may improve the responsiveness of your Mac. So it kind of pushes down, if you can see all this gray area, which if I close that message, it pops back up and everything resizes better. Maybe I should just min raise. The other night when I was playing over at Derby Lane, again, I'm here in the Tampa Bay area. Derby Lane is a dog track. I want to call it a greyhound track, but again, they just outlawed dog races in Florida a couple years ago, so they gave them a period of time, like a grandfathering them out, and they officially just closed. What the? Yeah, so they closed the dog racing portion. You can still bet on dogs from anywhere else in the country over there. It's still a pari-mutuel. And since he's been so call happy, him raising there just, I don't know. I really want to see a flop with that, but what I was saying the other night in the tournament, I did get to the point where I was able to start min raising quite effectively, even earlier in the tournament. It was like the perfect kismet of players at that table. So again, if you're wrong, it's not costing you too much. And if you're right, you know, bringing down a pot without any contest to it for the min raise, great. If you've got position and you did the min raise, you've kept the pot small, you can possibly outplay them. So that was from a fairly early position. He faced a re-raise. Just make a little note here that he 3-bets ace-jack offsuit early. I'll just check and see a flop with this crappy hand. Again, don't want to get too crazy, don't want to super inflate a pot. Where I'm possibly out, well, not possibly outkicked anybody else that has a jack. I mean, the only way you could have a lesser kicker than mine would be a deuce, and then you'd have 2-pair. I think a flush draw, though, would have possibly bet the flop unless he was looking to check raise hearts. Well, there's that warning from Safari again, squishing down my screen. And they both got the flush. Is that same guy? I thought he went broke. Alright, blind 6120 now. What do we have? 83. Yeah, we're still over 691 big blinds. similar to the last hand. Even though I made a pair, let's not go crazy. Oh, but I started off talking about early on in this video about how I'm not using a solver. I'm not using any HUDs. And again, if you're unfamiliar with the term HUDs, if you're new to poker, new to online poker, HUDs were a heads-up display where you could have a database running, an SQL database going with some other software that would track all the hands shown based on the hand histories, gathering data, and it would display it right there as like a floating info badge above everybody's cards, so you could get a read on certain people, how many times they 3-bet, how many times. Let's see, if he were on a draw, let me let him bluff at it. If he has a better king than mine, I will lose the minimum. Chop it up. Oh, I know why it's displaying it up there, I think, because I got rid of all the little notification. Still got to be a way to turn that off. Oh, but getting back, the solver. There is software out there nowadays. It might be called Poker Solver or Problem Solver, something like that. I don't have it. I don't remember if it costs anything or not, but you'd have to get it on a PC. I don't think it works on a Mac. And is it possible that other people are sitting there punching in all the cards that come up on the flop and the turn and stuff, and the computer's kind of working out for them how to play each hand? Yeah, that's possible. But like I said, even with the GTO charts and stuff like that, that's kind of playing it robotic in a vacuum, taking real people into consideration. I think you can exploit people a little better than you can. And again, even GTO, if you just play ABC according to the charts, I think that's exploitable even. So I try to play the GTO pre-flop. Again, part of doing these videos, trying to ingrain what hands you can and cannot play from what positions, helpful. But there are certain times where either A, I need to get better at pulling the trigger on some hands. Even though it's suited, I'm not going to face an under the gun raise, because I'm not drawing to the nuts. I mean, with this many big blinds, let's look at the charts right now. I was on, what, the cutoff? Versus a raise from under the gun. Jack 4 suited. Nope. That still falls into the fold category. But again, these charts are only going up to like 80 big blinds, and right now we're dealing with over 600. So maybe dealing with a deeper stack like that, and if you design charts that went further up, maybe it would say anything suited, I don't know. I mean, we have been getting in there mixing it up with all these suited hands. And we would have made a straight. But we would have had to have gotten all the way there. Oh, but earlier talking about the table, or the multi-table tournament going on over at Derby when I was there, and the perfect layout of who was in which seat, just based on their personalities of who would fold and call. There was one guy 2 seats to my right that I would like to call him old, but he makes old people look young. So we'll refer to him as ancient. I mean, I think if I remember correct, maybe it was the mask on his face because everybody has to wear a mask, but for some reason the mask looks so natural on his face, almost like he should have oxygen. There was one hand where, again, as far as GTO, this is probably where I violated GTO. I was under the gun. We were down to 10 players in the tournament, so we were right on the bubble of going to the final table. I limp, again, something you probably should not be doing, especially GTO. I limp under the gun with King Jack offsuit. Folds around to the button, who limps the button, and the big blind, ancient guy, completes it. The flop came out ace, jack, and I think the third card was like an 8. There was no flush draw out there. Ancient guy shoves all of his chips in, and at this point, I think the button had me out chipped, but let me wrap it up right here. Tell you what, I'll continue this story in the other video, because right now, just hitting the brakes, I'm going to break these up into 1-hour segments. So again, I'll delve right back into the story about the ancient guy and the big blind shoving all in on me right there at Derby Lane. We'll continue that in about 4 minutes. 4 minutes my time, however long it takes to get the part 2 of this video up for your time. So again, make sure to subscribe so you know when the next video gets put up. That story coming up in part 2.